Chapter 9 of The Chocolate Lab. A new recipe. Mom's family has lived in this house for 1 billion years, I say. This Beatrice Cabot lady must have been our great, however many times, grandmother. Wearing Mom's apron, Grandpa looks like a bouquet of flowers, but he doesn't seem to notice. He places 3 filled to the brim bowls on the table, one for each of us. Then he places another on the floor for Coco. As expected, Hannah wrinkles her nose. So all of those old things we found, Hannah says. I move my book aside so I won't drip Bambi juice on it. I flip through a few pages. Great, however many times, Grandma Cabot kept detailed notes about cooking. She listed recipes and utensils and her favorite ways to keep a fire lit through the winter. She even drew pictures of how to best trap and butcher a rabbit. That last one gets Hannah to wrinkle up her nose more than ever. The too incredible to believe part is that she wrote a whole long section about making chocolate and drew sketches to show each step. It looks like all the stuff we found is chocolate making equipment from the old days, I say. Grandpa sits down beside me. The ruffles on his apron brush my arm. Old-time chocolate making, he says. Now that's something I'd like to see. I'd like to see you wear that apron to the supermarket, I say. Hannah giggles and picks through her stew with her spoon. She scoops up a chunk of carrot and nibbles on it. Is it hard to make chocolate from scratch, she asks. I'm sure it wasn't easy, Grandpa says. Nothing was back then. We should clean off all that stuff and give it a try, Hannah says. What ingredients do we need? I taste the stew. It's not bad once you stop thinking about Bambi. I can imagine a Revolutionary War soldier really warming up to a bowl of this stuff after a long day of marching through the snow. There are a few chocolate recipes in here, I say. I've never even heard of some of these ingredients. Grandpa puts on his glasses and looks at the book. We can get most of these things at the farmer's market, he says. Not sure about the cocoa beans, though. At the sound of his name, Coco perks his head up from his bowl. He is doing the exact opposite of Hannah, only eating the meat from his stew. The carrots and peas plunk from his mouth with a flick of his baloney tongue. I eat another spoonful of the stew when the computer in the family room chimes. Hannah bolts from the table. That's Mom and Dad, she cries out. I don't know why she's in such a rush to video chat with them. I'm sure they've already heard the bad news from Miss Meredith. Hannah flicks on the monitor and sits down. Mom, Dad, she says. You need to come home right away. You won't believe what we found. My parents' heads are squished together on the screen like a peanut cluster. Hannah, Mom says in her I'm not kidding around voice. Where's Mason? Get him over here. I slide out of my seat and stand behind my sister. How could you let Coco into the store again, Mom says. Meredith told me it's happened twice since we've left. Twice. This carelessness has got to stop, Dad says. I open my mouth to explain, but my dad goes on. We left you in charge of the shop, and now Meredith is gone. What are we going to do now? I'm not sure if this is one of those don't answer it or you'll be in big fat trouble questions, so I keep quiet. That gives Mom a chance to jump in, and she does. She talks about responsibility and my carelessness until Dad tags in again. They go back and forth like that for a few minutes until finally Grandpa picks up the computer mouse. He starts talking to it like it's a microphone. Bill, Loretta, don't worry. I've got everything under control. My parents both chuckle at the sight of Grandpa, but they nudge each other and get serious again. I'll work in the store until you get back. Grandpa talks slowly and loudly, like they might not be able to hear him. We don't need that Meredith girl. I can spot bad eggs from a country mile. You can't do all that work, Mom says. Just restacking the boxes. The kids will help, Grandpa says. A hard day's work will be good for them. I don't know, Mom says. Trust me, Grandpa says. But looking at him in his flowery apron, talking into the computer mouse, I'm not so sure they should trust him to tie his shoes, let alone run a chocolate shop, even one that's about to close forever.